This is The Extra Point, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast, sponsored by your Phoenix Suns.
Well, it's time to talk basketball. It's mid-February. Not talking Phoenix Suns today. It's part of the February frenzy that we like. We have a lot of fun with every time the calendar hits this point in the year. With our old friend Jose Garcia from AZ Preps 365. Has been a regular at times here in the studio talking high school sports. And the next, 2-3 weeks of your life is going to be all about high school hoops. Are you ready?
No, to be honest. I don't think I'm ever ready for February frenzy, but we'll get some sleep here and there where we can.
Well, a lot of good basketball to talk about. And it's amazing. We've talked a lot about kind of the ascent of high school football in our great state, and the basketball just keeps getting better and better. And you see guys playing in the high school playoffs and ladies playing in the high school playoffs that you'll see playing in college and sometimes in the pros. So there's a lot to watch here. You unveiled the brackets over the weekend. Now that you've had a chance to digest that process, what are some of your biggest takeaways from what we can expect?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's two big questions going into the open boys and open girls. For the girls, it's a wide open, to be honest with you. It's been like that from the beginning to the end. Arguably, maybe 4, 5, 6 teams can make it. In the boys open, who can give Perry a game? And I know you're very familiar with Perry. You saw him last year in the state championship game. So they're going for their 4th consecutive championship.
Yeah, and it would be a 4-peat, which is fitting because Koa Peat might go down as the best player in Arizona sports history. Make the case that he is. What is the case that to make here? Is there a case against him? I guess that's the question.
No, I think if you were to look at the past, maybe Richard Jefferson, when you're looking at comps and comparison, maybe in terms of big men, Brad Lohaus has also come out of here from Phoenix. But I think in the modern era, what he's done, he can cement himself as the best player to come out of Arizona if they end up winning the Open, comes away with a 4-peat. And not only him, but Sam Duane Jr. also trying to make some history, trying to become the first coach to guide 2 different programs to 4-peats.
Wow.
Never been done. Yep.
That's greatest coach in Arizona history type stuff for sure.
And his dad Dwayne Sr. is also one of the legends.
Right.
So he might surpass his dad if he ends up.
Who's better? Divide the Dwayne household.
Ooh,
right.
I don't want to get in the middle of that one. No. Leave me out of that one. I'll let you handle that one.
All right. We'll ask him. We'll ask the family.
I'm not going to play favorites here.
But I mean, last year I remember you and I watching Millennium versus Perry in the boys Open State Championship game. And at the end of the first half, I mean, I think we both were like, "What? This is crazy!" Like there were just threes flying left and right. You had, Pete kind of did his thing and they won and they pulled away at the end. But that was one of the most entertaining games that I've seen. Sunny Slope played him the year before in the state championship. Perry, rest of the field. Perry rematch of last year or 2 years ago. What's your pick there?
In terms of who gets to the final there, obviously Perry's your favorite. The topic lately has been Sunny Slope and how it's been playing. It's still a young team, but they defeated Millennium, which made it obviously to the Open final last year. I think it was a week ago or so when they beat Millennium. Very young team, Darius Wabbington, Ryder Portella at guard. They've played a very, very tough schedule, not only in-state but out-of-state. We've been asking ourselves, okay, when are these guys finally going to make a move? Because regardless of what happens with them this year, next year for sure, I think they're going to be the favorite. Are they the team that's going to give them the battle in terms of Perry? And we might be looking at a Millennium Sunny Slope repeat in the Open semifinals.
Yeah, I mean, Ray Portella has had that thing on the rise for a while and kind of built it piece by piece there. Millennium, though, was a team last year that was crazy talented. So are we angling then for a Millennium Sunny Slope rematch to take on Perry? Is that how this thing kind of shapes down?
It's shaping up in terms of the bottom of the bracket there. And you got arguably the second best player in the state in Cameron Holmes and what he's done. Kingston Tosi, my goodness, what he's done in the offseason, made himself into a national brand and got a lot of recognition as well. On the outside, who's going to be that third guy? I think that's the big question with Millennium. Who's going to step up there? Cameron Holmes, this is going to be a big-time tournament. Right. Can he help carry that team? Can he put that team on his shoulders and carry them to greatness? We'll find out. That's one of the big things going into this tournament.
He did, and they tried to shut him down last year, and that opened up all their shooters.
Yes.
And that's what was interesting. That's when you thought, Perry might be on the ropes here. But then Koa Peat has been there, done that. And I think just seeing him I actually have not seen him in person, just the news clips that we've had. But he's got the NBA body now.
Indeed, that's what I was saying. The shoulders that he has. I've said he's carried like two or three 2x4s on his shoulders, and he's to me the Charles Barkley of Arizona high school basketball.
Right.
But the thing I think that sets him also aside, Mark, is his leadership. If you look at him, not only does he have the gifts on the court, but off the court as well. And when you look at that family line, his dad playing in the NFL, his siblings, what they've done locally, collegiately, professionally as well. I mean, he has it all, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and interested to see where he commits to playing college basketball.
That is
hanging in the air.
Big question.
When that's going to happen. Yes.
There's talk, obviously, of University of Arizona.
Yeah.
That's may be the favorite. I mean, who knows? We'll see what happens, but that's been the topic of conversation.
No, and we will definitely be watching that, and maybe we'll get one of those commitments post game. That would be kind of fun, or maybe a big announcement. We could carry it. Maybe you could carry it.
You got a lot of pull. You can do that.
Yeah, I've interviewed all of the Peats. I interviewed Todd, Cassius. I interviewed his dad. I remember Koa when he was like 10 years old coming to Todd's commitment to going to the University of Nebraska to play football. I got to find that tape somewhere. That's somewhere around here.
You're in. So definitely.
All right. So who else do we like in the Open? Like, could a Liberty rise up that won 6A last year? Would Liberty kind of slide down? And explain to our viewers how it works. Because you have the Open, you have 6A, 5A, 4A, you have the Copper, you have 3A, 2A, 1A. The thought here about kind of making the top teams, you don't have to be locked into your division, but how it all works, and some other games you're kind of circling.
Absolutely, the Open. If you lose in the first 2 rounds, after that you're still in playoff mode. You've dropped down to your conference state tournaments. So even though you might lose in the first 2 rounds, you continue to play. After you advance those 2 rounds, then that's it, one and done. In terms of looking at other teams, Boulder Creek with Michael Simico and what he's done there, UCSB commit. One of the best low post players in our state. Then you also have a team like Boulder Creek, which plays in the same region as Sandra Day O'Connor. They got a trio of players out there. They're shooting at over 50% this season. And honestly, over the last couple of seasons, I think this Boulder Creek team gets overlooked.
Interesting.
And they ended up beating Sandra Day O'Connor, I think, twice. Ended up winning the region that they play in. It's one of the toughest regions as well. Keep an eye out at them. Prescott with Uriah Tennant.
Oh, he's good.
Arguably,
that dude can fill it up.
Yeah, arguably the best point guard in our state.
Yeah.
They play a Brophy team, which is going to be one of the most interesting first-round games as well. So those are some of the teams that I'm looking at, some of the players as well. And there's so much talent, so much young talent as well.
And that game's up in Prescott.
It is in Prescott.
Which is super interesting.
It was a rematch of last year's first-round Open game as well between those teams. Brophy apparently had 2 starters that were out during the regular season at some point. They are apparently healthy, so they might end up playing in this game. But we'll see how Uriah Tennant winds up his career, one of the top 10 scorers in our state. High jumping, high scoring.
Yes. Yeah.
To be honest with you, I think he's been overlooked at the national level in terms of getting some big-time recruitments. I think he's going over to University of San Diego next season. But we'll see. Well, I mean, this team potentially can end up beating that Brophy team. And this is the beauty about the Open.
Yeah.
You got the 4A teams playing the 6A, 5A against 4A. Potentially, this 4A team might end up beating a 6A team in Brophy.
Man, that's fantastic. And then you see some of the other big matchups. If you look on AZ Preps 365, you can read all of Jose's stuff there, and we will be watching for sure. But the girls' side just is wide open here. I actually a couple weeks ago. Well, gosh, this is pre-eye surgery. So this is in December. I went to dinner at home. I was driving back, and I was like, well, Xavier's playing Pinnacle. Xavier's the defending state champ. I'm gonna stop by there. I stop by. I see Donovan McNabb watching his daughter play for Xavier. I see Sean McLaughlin from Arizona's family watching his daughter. And Pinnacle rose up and shocked the world. And they said they'd been waiting for this game for the entire year. Those are 2 teams, aren't on the high seed. Xavier hasn't been the number 1 seed all year. But that was a very competitive game. You think we're going to see a lot of games like this? Could this go a number of different ways here?
From beginning to end, this is definitely a February tournament indeed. You mentioned 2 of the teams, Pinnacle and Xavier. We'll start with Pinnacle with Nora. I call her Nora Move Over Moore. She is quite, and this is in coach's words, a beast in the low post.
She's a bucket.
She is. She is. Nora Move is one of the best that we have in the state, and Xavier as well with Noelle Bofia, the Open defending champ. from last year from Xavier. She came back. So those are two of the teams that are in the conversation. You have a South Point team that's #1 right now, Millennium #2. South Point is a 4A team. They lost 2 of their best players to injury, but that team has definitely stepped up.
Are they? Yeah, I haven't checked in on South Point much this year. So are they done for the year?
No. They're going to be in there.
Okay.
They're the #1 seed in the Open Girls Open tournament. Like I mentioned, they lost 2 of their starters to injury, but other players have stepped up. The challenge with them is that they can go small, they can go big, they can go fast, they can slow it down. The only loss, I think, to them by an Arizona team was to Mesquite, which has Neve Gidry as well, and they're one of the talents. Millennium with Kaishi, Desami Kaishi Lunan, also Player of the Year candidate for them. Those 2 teams, South Point and Millennium, ended up getting the top 2 seeds. So those are just some of the teams that we're looking at in terms of maybe potentially making it to the final. But I really think this tournament is open.
Yeah, we had and we were out in the West Valley. I believe it was ALA Estrella Foothills with Isabella Juarez the other night, who scored 48 points and has been filling it up. I think she's in a different bracket. Now that I say that,
I believe so. Yeah, Ava Ammenhauser, I believe is.
Okay, yeah. That's who it was. Yeah, but there's a lot of people that can score in this bracket.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned Estrella Foothills, Canyon View, in terms of a big first round game. The matchup there with Ava and Jayla Flowers of Canyon View, also 2 very elite post players. By the way, Jayla Flowers, her mom is a volleyball official over at the Rec Center, where I'm an assistant volleyball coach at. So that's going to be a great first round matchup there between Estrella Foothills and Canyon View in the Girls Open.
It's a small world. This high school sports world. Okay, are you more fired up about the chaos that can ensue on the boys' side or the girls' side in the Open? What do you think? Besides Perry.
Yes. No, we love chaos, right?
Yeah. We do.
Yep. Sorry, but we do.
Yeah.
I think the chaos is going to come on the girls' side. That's potentially what's going to happen, I think, just because of all the talent, all the players we have in there. Sherry Hatter of Desert Vista, point guard, just a freshman, leads all freshman scorers in the state. As we mentioned, Noel Moo of Pinnacle, Neve Gidry of Mesquite, a 4A player as well. So many great teams on the girls' open side. I think that's where we're going to see a lot of the upsets happening. Unless Perry, something bizarre happens to them, I just don't see them dropping any games. And
even that would be one of the all-time.
It would be one of the all-time greatest upsets.
Girls' side, you see a Valley Vista sitting there, who's always good. You see a Gilbert sitting there, that's always good. That's kind of where it's like they know how to play, and I'm sure they all know each other from the club scene.
Yeah, Valley Vista, I think going into this tournament has won 7 championships, and it is the program that's won the most in this year's Open. So a lot of history there, a lot of great tradition. Gilbert with Savannah Bix, the head coach there, came over for Campo Verde. From Poston Butte, did a wonderful job in her first year at Gilbert High School. Here they are as one of the top 3 seeds in that Open tournament. So those are 2 of the other teams to look out for in the Girls Open.
Oh, can't wait. Cannot wait. Player of the Year candidates. We do have Koa Peat. We've already made the case for him. Maybe just not the Player of the Year, maybe the best all-time player in Arizona. That's probably a done deal, right? But who are some of the other guys on the boys' side that you think deserve consideration and could rise up and shock the world?
Yeah, another player we mentioned, Cameron Holmes, and what he's doing over there. Michael Simcoe at Center Day O'Connor. Yeah, Uriah Tennant, of course, over with Prescott.
That's a good start. That's a good starting group.
Yeah, and another guy in a season that really had so much great guard play all year long. Mason McGee, the point guard over at Basha High School. They've lost twice. Basha has to Perry in its own region in the Premier. But when you have Mason in there, when you have a great floor general like himself, he can take over a game as well. So I think those probably are your top 5 or in the running for Player of the Year on the boys' side.
Girls' side, we talked about them, but let's run through our top 5 there. People that you think. And by the way, is this give us a sense of the voting here? When does the Player of the Year? When does the voting have to be tabulated for that? Do you get the full body of work through the playoffs?
Well, I think. There's so much that goes into it in terms of the regular season and the postseason. Yeah. We tend to wait on our side after the season is done with.
Can you talk to the Heisman Trophy and tell them that? Because I think Cam Scatterby should have at least been in New York.
Like I said earlier in the show, I think you're the one with pool. You're the one that has the numbers. You've been there in photos when kids were 10 years old. I don't have that type of full mark, to be honest with you. I'm at the bottom of the totem pole, but if I can, I'll try to assist you somehow.
All right. Well, you do have some pull with who should be on that list, and we're kind of, we go sons all the way down to high schools, but you see people, especially some of these young women, and just the talent level in Arizona, it just gets better and better and better every year. So who are some of the candidates for the player?
It is. So we already mentioned Destiny Lunan, Kai Shi out of Millennium, very dynamic player. Nora Mu over at Pinnacle High School. Sherry Hatter, also the freshman, believe it or not. I think she's averaging 20 points per game for that Desert Vista team. Noelle Bofia, the low post, the center for Xavier. And Neve Gidry of Mesquite, also. Tremendous talent. She's a 4 on the court. She can shoot, she can dribble, she can do a lot for that Mesquite squad that's led by Candace Gonzalez, the only coach they've had in, I think, more than 25 years. She won her 500th game this season over at Mesquite High School. So I think those are your forerunners when it comes to the girls' side.
And I don't know if there's a coach of the year, but Karen Self certainly made the case for best coach in Arizona. I mean, we have 2 of them this year. We could be celebrating. You could be watching 2 of the greatest coaches that you're talking about for years in Sam Duane Jr. and Karen Self. What have those 2 done for Arizona high school basketball?
So much, and not only on the record wise when it comes to Karen Self, because this year she broke Miners Webster's all-time career coaching record. She did it a couple of months ago, and Miner was there, by the way, celebrating with Karen Self. But she means so much. She's an ambassador when it comes to basketball at our state, locally, nationally. And even though she's at the high school level, she's done so much at the national level with USA Basketball as well. There's a reason why she's already in our state's Hall of Fame. They mean a lot. And not only are they great professionals on the court, but they're great off the court. They're friends. They're there for you no matter what you need. If you look to the AIA archives, by the way, on the basketball side of things, all the archives, all the records for girls basketball, Coach Self, she's the one that's in charge of that. She's been keeping track of all the coaching records, all the stats for the kids.
Oh, wow.
And it is so detailed. Like I said, she's done so much for our state.
Well, that's greatness right there. And that goes so far beyond winning games.
Indeed.
That's just, oh my gosh, that's fantastic. That's
That's
part of the story, and yeah, we need to celebrate that as we are celebrating the February Frenzy for sure.
She deserves her flowers, as the kids say.
So how does her run to a state championship stack up this year in their classification and some of the other smaller classifications?
Yeah, so they're going to be in the 3A state tournament this year, and I believe they're already out in that 3A. So I got to double check on that.
Here, I can look.
But her team has some excellent guards on there. They've done well. So they're always competitive. When you have a Karen Self on the team, it was a good thing. I saw him play against Valley Christian earlier this year.
Yeah, it looks like they are out. Yep.
Yeah, and they had a tremendous season along with Valley Christian also. But that year in and year out, she's produced some great teams.
Right, absolutely. And it's I mean, there's my favorite moments of the year are when the schools in northern Arizona on the reservations come down and pack gyms. We're talking 15,000, 16,000 people. And it's like stuff, I mean, you just don't see it, and the first time you see it, you're not prepared for it. So do you have any of those circled on what dates to watch when Veterans Memorial Coliseum all of a sudden turns into an absolute, I mean, that is the frenzy night for me.
Yes.
It's usually on a Friday.
Yeah, and Veterans Memorial Coliseum was also known as the Madhouse on McDowell.
Right.
And that's truly when the Madhouse in McDowell comes alive, when some of those res teams end up going there. I think as soon as the quarterfinals were around, Tuba City had a big upset against Chile in the Open. So look for Tuba City once in the semifinals in the Copper, the small school Open there. They're going to bring it. So.
You got Tuba City versus Page. That's coming up the 21st here.
That might be a packed. Might be a packed arena.
It's going to be loud and everybody.
Yes.
3.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Great traditions on both sides. And UL mentioned it when the res ball. It is one of the most unique things that we have here in our state when it comes to high school basketball. There is nothing like it. Fans are lining up at 6 a.m. for a game that's being played at 2:00 in the afternoon. I remember going up to Prescott when we had the playoffs over there in the snow, Mark. Folks are there with their blankets, lining up 6 hours, 8 hours before the games just to make sure they get a seat. And once the doors open, they run, put their blankets out just to reserve their seats. It is quite a scene out there. So, yeah, it is going to be quite a special time when the Madhouse at McDowell's truly becomes a madhouse when the Reds teams show up.
Oh, that's going to be fun. As far as the Copper State Championship goes, though, Phoenix Country Day has had a good little run here. And for them to be able to, cap it off, that would be pretty special in state history, because that would be back to back. Is there 3 straight?
They've won it back to back in the 2A conference.
That's what it was.
So obviously this is in terms of the Copper Division small school level. First year we have it there. Phoenix Christian Day is playing Sholo. Sholo has Raquel Wilson, one of the best players as well. So that's a 2A 3A matchup. But the talk was that it was going to be Phoenix Country Day and Miami, 2 2A teams, potentially that can make it into the Copper Open final. But Miami was upset, I believe, in the second round of the Copper Open. So now Tuba City, which also upset Chinley, the number 1 seed in the Copper Open. So we're looking potentially maybe Phoenix Country Day, and Tuba City is going to be a great matchup. So I don't know who potentially advances there. Now, Phoenix Country Day is going to have their hands full against Sholo as well. But when it comes to Phoenix Country Day, Olivia Owens and Ayla Cabero, what they've done, they're so fast. They're so talented. I think they're going to play at the D1 level. But yeah, they're looking to make a 3-peat over there for Phoenix Country Day.
That would be special. 3-peats don't come around very often, much less 4-peats like the Perry boys. And Paige, by the way, I think one of the best mascots in the state. You've got the Valley Vista Monsoon, but the Paige Sand Devils, I think is really good. Any other mascots that are your favorites?
I'm working on your Millennium one.
Oh yeah. Okay, so you Okay, so where do we stand that? Because I will stand on that. I feel like no one gets my Star Wars reference. I want them to be on the Millennium. I want them to be the Millennium Falcons. They're the Tigers.
Yes, they should be.
Any movement? Any movement?
The needle has not moved. Yeah, I'm sorry, but I'm trying.
Every Millennium person is like,
I'm
no,
my best
the
for
Tigers.
You.
Yeah,
but it has no. The Sultans of Baghdad are one.
Yeah.
The Yuma Criminals.
Oh yeah,
obviously.
We've got some great.
Some of the best ones in entire state. And on the boys' side, I know we were talking about the Copper. As well. The talk has been Santan Charter, Valley Christian.
Oh, we were just out there. They had a kid to back-to-back dunks. What was his name? It was Friday night
for Santan Charter.
Yeah. I got to look it up.
I can't.
I'm looking it up.
And I think they played Palo Verde. I think
they
too
did.
In that game. And that Palo Verde team had a big-time upset in the first round of the Copper Open as well. I know they lost against Santan Charter, but they have so much talent on that Santan Charter team. They won the 2A championship last year.
That's right.
Going into this season, the pick was for Valley Christian and Santan Charter to potentially meet for the first ever Copper Division small school open title game, and those two teams are obviously in the semifinals. So we're probably a game away from seeing those two teams compete.
That'll be, and it's high flying. So it's Tyler Catrone, a senior, number 22, and he was getting lob passes from Peyton Labash, a sophomore, who he's got some quicks and he's got some handles, and we were like, whoa.
Yes. And he did it last year as a freshman, too.
Wow.
Region Player of the Year. I don't know if he still does. I haven't seen him this year, but he also has the locks as well. He has this moppy type dude that he's well known for. But awesome. He's just one of the many stars on that Santan Charter team.
Awesome. All right, so help us plan our sports coverage here the next couple weeks, because we got so much basketball. But what are some ones that you're circling on the calendar? What are the ones that you're pointing people towards azpreps365.com and the Extra Point on Arizona's Family to watch the highlights?
Absolutely.
What do we got?
So this Saturday at Veterans Memorial Coliseum, we have the Wrestling State Championships for boys and girls also. So stay tuned for that. Sunnyside, the power when it comes to wrestling in our state, going after the 8th consecutive state championship. Yes.
Is Anthony Robles Hamilton Huskies?
Hamilton is on. Anthony Robles is now with Hamilton as well.
Yeah. Is he building it? Is he building it up?
It's in his first season.
The movie's going to help.
It is. I'm pretty sure. Fabulous. You know the story about him.
Yep.
Went to Mesa High School. Now he's coaching over at Hamilton High. Another program to keep an eye on, Saurita down south, going after their 4th consecutive title as well. So stay tuned for that. And then after that, it's just pretty much basketball. At Veterans Memorial Coliseum, for the very first time, the 1A level is moving down from the Toyota Finling Center up in Prescott down to VMC. So now we're going to have 1 all the way to the open title games are going to be at VMC here March 1st circle that day.
All right, I'm circling it.
And if
Set
you
an
can,
alarm.
I don't know if you're going to be able to make it.
Yeah,
you're going to have to get Julie and everybody,
Right,
Mr.
right.
King as well.
Yeah.
14 state championship games are going to be played on March 1st. We got so much going on. 14 on that March 1st game. So we go from February Frenzy to truly March Madness. How are
you just going to start them early? And
I don't know. I'm going to have to get a drone, to be honest with you, to try to get as much coverage as possible for that. So.
Oh, man, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Indeed.
Leave us with this. What do you hope the kids take with them with all the work that you put in at the AIA? What's some of the best moments that you've had over there talking to kids after winning and coming up short in a state championship?
I think the memories. What happens behind the scenes. Everybody sees them when they're playing and so forth, but the bus trips, the talks, the conversations, the late night dinners with friends. I think that, to me, when it comes to high school sports at the community level, that's the special aspect for me when it comes to high school sports. The amateurism of it all, representing your city, your high school, that's going to mean a lot. And I think eventually, once they graduate 5, 10 years, 20, 25 years from now, you're going to be proud to represent, whether it's Valley Vista, Brophy, Willow Canyon, whichever high school you attended. Representing your high school and community, in my opinion, means a lot.
No, absolutely. Well, thank you for all you do. Thank you for all the insight. And March 1st, set your alarm. Get ready. Get up early because we got some state champions to crown.
It's already set.
The Extra Point Podcast is a production of 3TV, CBS 5, and azfamily.com in Phoenix, Arizona.